Welcome back to the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Brett Shears. Today's conversation, if you're new to the channel, by the way, 8 areas of maturity. I've got them all listed on the main page of the channel. These are the areas that, by addressing them and developing each one of those areas, you'll have a more fulfilling experience in life. It's the areas that we deny growth in that kind of hold us back. They act like quicksand at times, or pull us back to, the experience that we had whenever we locked away that area of our maturity and growth. So it's relevant in the sense of, if you want to have a really wonderful, fulfilling life, well, address each area. You become more and more capable of dealing with whatever life is throwing at you. Instead of being an expert in one area, how about we develop ourselves in every area and create our expertise while we're doing it? Why not? So today's conversation is in regards to thriving, because there's 3 different ways of dealing with conflict, 3 different models, if you will, or methods. First one is you avoid it with everything you got. You do what you can to avoid the thing that you don't want to deal with. This will create the problem again and again and again in your life. You'll envy the people that go into the Thrive model because they can just deal with it, but you're afraid to consider that could be something you could do. You're completely lost. You don't have even the basic stepping stones dealing with that thing, whatever you're trying to avoid. You don't have the stepping stones to even consider what it's like to thrive through challenges in that area. You might have it in others, but if you avoid anything, that's a model of behavior you get familiar with. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. I know that can be challenging, but for those that it resonates with, they get it. For those that don't, that particular statement doesn't resonate with, stick with it. It will make sense. Subscribe to the channel. It'll definitely start opening up doorways for you. Don't be afraid to try on solutions that you have not tried before. So if you continue to avoid, you'll only create to continue to get what you've always got. It's just that simple. No, but it's not that easy, but it is that simple. Now, there's the Survive model. You just do whatever it takes to get through the thing, whatever it is, the challenge, whatever it might be. You just keep going through those challenges, but you're surviving in it. You don't really have the ability to avoid that thing from happening again, whatever the challenge is, but you can make it through it. But it's another recreated hardship that you'll have to deal with. You may get a little better at it over time. Like, you'll know instantly when to act instead of trying to assess what you need to do and then figure out a model to work by. You'll have previously established a model to work by, but that's about the degree of success you'll have with it, other than obviously overcoming it. But the efficiency and speed of dealing with that particular challenge will stay pretty consistent. Now, it's not bad. You still make it through, but you are not reducing the stress by much of that particular challenge. And if you can prevent the thing from coming, you'll do what you can, but you can either go the avoidance model, which is like, hey, whatever, I'm just going to go over there and it'll miss me. That's slipping back into avoidance, though, and you're actually potentially weakening. It's not potentially. You're actually strengthening the avoidance process, and you're weakening the surviving process by, sure, you survive because you don't get hit by the challenge, but it will come back again. That's just the way these things work. Thrive is, when you thrive, you're surviving, but you're studying what got you there. You're studying your own behaviors. You're studying the elements and the values that are part of the thing, the challenge that's showing up. And you're learning how you got yourself in the predicament in the first place. You're looking at your traits, your own skills, and the decisions that you've made that got you to such a place. So that's in the Thrive model. The Thrive model is incredible. incredibly robust because it will continuously teach you things. You will continue to learn in the Thrive model, but eventually you'll enjoy it. And then you can use the strategies for taking on a challenge and overcoming it and turn it into progress, creating something new. Being able to handle those challenges, like new things, not challenges necessarily, but you say, hey, I got a goal that I want to go after, I haven't really pursued, and you can graph the blueprint that you've created dealing with the challenges through the Thrive model and apply those, the methods of thinking, the blueprints of thinking and problem solving onto your goals moving forward. Now, if this sounds a bit esoteric or lacking substance, it's not easy to actually put people into a specific category and to talk to a lot of people. But I'll do this. I'll tell you, we'll use relationships as a method here, because this is a very good friend of mine that is contributing to the work, and he's more of an avatar for me to speak to. So, gentleman he's had challenges with relationships. Now, this man he's successful in his career. He's doing better than he has ever done in his life. He's got an incredibly good heart. He's attentive. He listens when people talk. He's contributory to the conversation. He caters to the other person to encourage them to share who they are and what they are and all of that. He's got a lot of those great values that people say they want in a relationship. But yet he struggles with creating a solid foundation in a relationship that actually helps him thrive, to give him that meaningful relationship where he feels that that person is solid with him and that he has somebody he can plan a future with. He is the ideal candidate for any woman who's ready to create the desirable future with a partner, because his work ethic's incredible. His willingness to take on challenges is great in a lot of his areas of his life, and he's trying to figure out what gear is missing in his experience of relationships. So, sorry, there's somebody, I apologize about the honk there, but there's somebody that's actually, for whatever reason, driving on the side of the road. Anyway, back to the avatar here, to my friend here. So, if he were to take on the avoidance model, every time something were to come up, well, in the avoidance model of dating is pretty much like, I don't want to date. I've given up on dating. It's too hard. It doesn't work. I've got problems. I can't make these things work. I don't want to be in a relationship. But people still find you. Like for him, they would see the attributes, the traits that he has, and the things that he's capable of producing in the world, and think, well, he's a pretty good candidate. Just because interest is spiked doesn't mean it goes beyond that. And when that interest gets spiked, when you're like really just wanting to find a quality relationship, well, your interest will quickly be spiked, but then you've got to flood in the rejection concepts and the experience of rejection, and then say, no, I'll back out. But you do get the instance of the moment of going, maybe, hey, I'm interested. Now, that can be something that draws the person into a survive model in a relationship if it pursues beyond that. But his challenge has been, he gets shut down there because he gets interested, the other person has their interest, and then it weans off because he started showing interest and putting in the creating a pursuit, and the person disappears and the person goes cold. So and the avoidance model, that's the curse that comes from it. And there's emotional and logical justification for a person to go into the avoidance model. It's understandable. Now, by the way, this is all in the Maturity Project education. I'm not telling you that this is how any other specific model of thinking or principles of understanding and logic, that this is exactly how they do what they do for their methods. That's not what I'm doing with this. This is for the Maturity Project. This is understanding reality for the people that resonates for, and helping create a more powerful and fulfilling experience in life, and a life of abundance. So with this avoidance, it creates that unfortunate outcome. It really sucks when you're prepared and you're ready for a relationship, or you have all of the things necessary, at least the majority of the things, not all the things, but the majority of the things necessary for having a very desirable, long-term, rewarding relationship, it really sucks to have that kind of nest established, that kind of opportunity, and then have some pieces missing, right? Because what happens with that is you get involved with somebody. By the way, this gentleman, he's an incredibly nice guy. He really is. He's truly one of the nicest guys. He's in a top category of nice guys. He also, that's part of his problem. He's a nice guy. So what commonly happens, from what I've observed and what I've continuously have learned about through the different avenues, books, and all these others avenues and life's experiences from myself and other people, nice guy never wins, right? Like he's the one that, it's the bad boy that wins, right? That's the whole, the statement that people put out there, but it's based off of an experience or reality. So when a woman goes through a relationship with a bad guy, and she realizes that, she can't save him, she can't change him, whatever, if that's the motive behind her getting into that relationship, which is not uncommon. It's like, this person's fun, it's exciting, and I can save him from himself, it's the actions that prove that that's a thought. It's not necessarily the statement that they have made to themselves or anybody else, but looking back in hindsight, it will fit their actions and say, yeah, of course, you found the nice guy. You found the bad guy, the bad boy. He's a badass. He keeps life fun and exciting. And he has caused you problems. Because he has so much fun with you and you have so much fun with him, but you're ready to settle down, and the bad boy or the bad guy is not ready to settle down. No, they're not. They're not going to be until they find what they're looking for. And what they're looking for is very commonly not the relationship. There's something else, or there's something about a relationship that they've bought into, an idea of a relationship that is not being facilitated, and they're so attached to that idea that they can't find the settling into that relationship because of the one that's present. They're after the one that's it's kind of a fantasy of a relationship. Now, you can create anything you want in this life, but you have to know how to communicate and to create that thing. The person that's the bad boy in this example is the one that doesn't know how to create that thing, but they're going to continue to live it. They just don't know how to enroll other people into living the way they want to, in their way. So the good girl, or the girl in this example, pursues the guy. She gets burnt. She gets burnt over and over again. The relationship ends the way that it does, which is commonly chaotic. And then she goes and finds the nice guy because he's safe, because he's good to her. He does all of the things that create that sense of security and safety. And things can be good, and they can be good for a long time. It could be good for decades. But eventually the restlessness of not having the adventure and the excitement that the bad boy had created in her life is not being produced in the current nice guy relationship with safety. So she starts to find other opportunities. It's mind wanders, fantasies start to be created or acted on, whatever the next steps are. And then the good guy that's devoted all of this to having this wonderful, loving relationship, well, he's going to eventually find out that the woman that he has devoted himself to is now off with somebody else, is betrayed him based off of their agreement. And could also be another one of those challenges. Their agreement is that he didn't know how to create the relationship he wanted either. Because he's like, I'm going to cater to her needs. And by catering to her needs, it satisfies my own. But the parts of her needs that you're not able to cater to, a lot of times also because people are too nice to each other. Like, oh, no, you're good. I absolutely enjoy our sex life. Or whatever that statement might be. Well, because oftentimes it seems to be the sex life that is what kills the good guy, the nice guy. And the relationship kills off the opportunity because he's not exciting enough to really bring that sense of excitement. There could be the other things too, the adventure in life, stuff like that. So in the avoidance model, you never really get to overcome that. But what you do is when you finally do open up and you make the surviving model in for those relationships, for them to occur, especially for this gentleman, to make a surviving relationship, it may go on for a while. Like the surviving relationship is the one that eventually finds an end. And it will typically find an end through some experience of betrayal. The thriving model in that is to understand your partner at such a depth and understand yourself that the limitations that you put on yourself and your partner are things that you're willing to train and to turn into something different, to develop into something more exciting, something more fun. Now, for me, I know this gentleman that I'm talking about. He does have that side of him. He doesn't bring it out often at all. And because it's not well practiced, the foundation for that doesn't have a whole lot of recreatable security in itself, right? Because when you get into that exciting side, it's even more rewarding when you realize that there's a degree of safety to it. I can still go and play and have fun, but at the same time, I'm not worried about this entire thing turning into a house of cards and collapsing. So then it's up to the discovery of what it takes to have that excitement between the two people, and they create the outcome that they want. That is a created relationship. That's a created life. Most people's issues when it comes to relationships is they try to live based off of some sort of archetype that they don't even fully understand, but they feel conviction to the fact that they understand it. But then you ask 10 basic questions that need to be asked, like, what is love by definition? Well, if you can't define love, it's really hard to find it. And if you go around saying, well, everybody knows what love is, ask for the definition and you're going to be surprised. Because if you can't define it, you won't find it. You're playing a lottery opportunity. And even if you're convinced that you found it, could it be 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, you find out your partner is doing something that you consider to be an act of betrayal? Now, I'm not saying be bleak and that the future is depressing and sad and all the rest of this. No, I'm saying put yourself through the job, put yourself through the work. Create what you want in this world. So, a lot of us are borrowing structures and strategies that we don't even understand, but we call them things like relationships. But you don't understand it. You don't know what it takes to truly have the kind of reward in a relationship. Because right now, we are riddled with issues with relationships. We have, and I think this is going to be a massive explosion of an industry, because fewer people stay together very long. They spend more time complaining about their partner than they do working on themselves and their relationship. They don't even know where to begin. That's why I wrote a course on this. So I do have a course called Breaking the Dating Game. That's at least the name of it for now. It can change. But the premise of it is how to understand yourself and understand your partner. What exactly are the details that matter in that? My friend that I'm talking about, my avatar in this, he has that program now. First, know who the hell you are going into a relationship. Because if you want to be in the Thrive model, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time just sitting there trying to figure yourself out whenever the actions are occurring from your partner as well. It's a lot of information to try to process. But if you put the work for yourself in the front end, which is why I say, don't find the right person to date. Be the right person to date. Because you worked on yourself first. Then the next aspect of what can come from that becomes obvious. Becomes something that's easier to work through, because you're not sitting there going, I don't even know me anymore, questioning who the hell you are to yourself or anybody else. And you're able to put the work into the relationship in a way because you understand yourself much better than most people do. Because most of us just trying to survive life. There are very few people that are thriving through it. And the ones that are, we make idols of. We make somebody to follow. We make mantras based off those people. But you haven't made it for yourself. You don't have your own. No, this is not about becoming egocentric and all of that. But by the way, if you want another interesting conversation, I'll discuss the ego at some point in time. Put a comment in the comment section if you want to see that. Now, because the ego, from my perspective, is definitely drastically different than what most people understand it to be. And I do not agree with Freud overall when it comes to the ego. I think there's a lot more advanced thinking there. Jung lines up a little bit more with my perspectives on the ego than Freud does. But anyway, continuing on here. Nice guy. You can turn situations. If you go to the Thrive model, for this particular person, he'll know how to create the kind of excitement that will resonate and keep the pulse going in their relationship for his partner. Because a lot of times that's the issue. Life comes in. You got your bills that you need to pay. You got, okay, well, let's plan our vacation, but we got our work week and we've got a month worth of work. We got all these responsibilities that come along. Got all of the bills. We got all the money we need to make. We got raising children if you're raising children. Whatever those things are that you have that distract you from your relationship's nourishment. You just assume that it's all good because you don't need to participate as much. You go home, you're in the same habitat together, and that means that the relationship's being nourished. You don't know that for a fact. You bring in your other relationship issues with people at work, places like that. It's what I mean by the relationship difference here is your intimate partner relationship, and then you have a relationship with your friends, your family, your co-workers, your community. You bring that home, and then you two talk about it. And because you're talking about that, you may feel that you're nourishing your relationship with your partner. You are, but you're not if you're missing the mark of what they need. And that's part of the problem. If you know what they need because you've done the work on yourself, so you know what you need, you can focus on theirs. It's not the golden rule, by the way. The golden rule is like, the golden rule is a lot like drinking something that might be poison. You just don't know. Because you think, I want to treat other people as I want to be treated. Well, by definition of love, you will find out if you do that exercise. Not everybody has the same definitions. And if the definition's there, there's actions that qualify it. Right? There are things that are expected. And if you're not doing the things that are expected, the outcome can be, you don't love me. Even though your demonstration of love is there. You do love the person. But you don't have it defined on either side. They haven't defined it. You haven't defined it. So you're kind of just going by how it feels. And then you have a spectrum of how it feels, 1 to 100. I feel no love at 1, and 100 is I feel like I'm just absolutely just submersed in love. But you still haven't defined it, so it makes it's hard to recreate what you can't define. You just continue to go by the way it feels. So how many times people heard, I'm just not feeling this, as the way that they talk about a relationship when they break up, or whenever they're on the relationship's potentially on the outs. I don't know how I feel. I'm not really feeling it. So, apologize if I'm all over the place. Hope you guys were able to extract some great things out of this. Driving through Pasco County here in Florida, and it is not known for being one of the best places to drive. So it's a little distracting. But I'm in my mobile office for a reason today. I've got to finish up my house here so I can get it on the market to sell it and move on. So anyway, figured I'd make a video for it. And transit. So as far as these things go, simple version is, look, we've just got work to do on ourselves. People do have a great opportunity in front of them, but you're caught up with your own issues. You're caught up with your own challenges and struggles. That's at the individual level. And then it gets complicated because then it goes into two people's individual levels that they call their relationship. And they spend time together, and the potential is that they may become roommates because that spark of love and joy and excitement is not there anymore. And if that spark of love, joy, and excitement disappears, so does the sexual satisfaction. Because then it becomes more of a chore, a task, something to get that sensation monkey off their back. The pent-up frustration that they feel, but it doesn't have the intimacy exchange. It just has the act exchange. And that's where, a lot of relationships die. Because they have to have that, and it takes work. It's not the end result is getting in the relationship. The work starts something new at that point. You've got new things that you need to create with that person. I was speaking with a friend of mine who's become, financially in business. The guy has got those two categories of maturity. He's very well mature in those two areas. He's another friend of mine. He started a roofing company. The man is definitely making more money he's ever made. He's got a very successful business. He's employing a lot of his family and friends and people in his community to make a difference in this, in their world. It's incredibly fulfilling. But now he has challenges with keeping up with his own health and well-being because of that success model has got new challenges for him. Well, the same thing in relationships. Getting to the relationship and finding the person that's the person of your dreams doesn't mean you get to set it and forget it moving forward. You're going to have new challenges that occur that you're not familiar with. If you're familiar with the dating world, but you have not had a lot of long-term relationships, you're going to step into that relationship ill-equipped, and you're going to have to develop the skills necessary for a long-term relationship to flourish. You can't just step into it and it just works. You got work to do. It's simple, but we don't think of it this way because we're thinking destination relationship. Well, a big part of the problem with destination relationship is there's more to it. Once you get to the relationship, what does it need? Not, I just want to stop dating. Great, you want to stop dating, but what comes after that? And are you developed in it? For people that are avoiding relationships because they're waiting for the one, how long have you been doing that? I have met plenty of people that they're on year 5, they're on year 10, and they don't really have any practices inside of it. They haven't opened themselves up to another person to develop the skills to take care of a relationship whenever you're bound to somebody that is maybe they agree or don't agree with you on certain things, and you work through those challenges. You're not established in that way because you've avoided relationships altogether. By the way, if you've been out of a relationship for 5, whatever years, 10 years, however long, that can be a justification to hold against your partner when you're dealing with challenges. Like, I haven't been in a relationship for 4 years, and this is why. It's like you just threw in the towel on a simple challenge, or a challenge that is actually presenting an opportunity for you, and you're making your partner wrong for your decision, not for theirs. Their decision is different, and you're conflating the issue. So there's a lot to do with this, guys and gals. I apologize if this video is a little bit like it's kind of all over the place in its own way. I don't really care to record when I'm driving, but at the same time, I have a commitment to create content on a daily basis. And my goal is to make a difference. It's to create something on a daily basis that can help people see differently for their future. If you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always got. It's a very simple statement. First time I heard it was Zig Ziglar. I've heard it from many other people since. Great human beings. They're just out to make a difference, or they were out to make a difference for the ones that have passed. The same for me. I don't want to just sit here and to make judgments for other people, what they're going through, in a way that makes me feel that I am doing better in my life and that they should be doing better, but they're not as good as me, or whatever nonsense that people get into. I don't criticize people like that. I look at the behaviors that get people where they are and then see what we could do about changing the insight so they can change their perspective so that they can create new thinking models to have a different outcome. I want to see the world achieve what the people in the world want to achieve, but not done through vice, but done through virtue. So we don't need to take away from somebody else to be satisfied in this life. There's so much more. All right. Well, that's it for today. And again, if this was all over the place, if you guys are sitting there going, for God's sake, Chad, just get to the point. I hope that a point was delivered. And with that, I love you guys. This is an act of love. This is a passion of mine, and I want to see the world different. So, all right. Until next time, we grow through what we go through. Yesterday's mistakes become an opportunity for tomorrow's successes. Share this video with the people in your life that you want to share it with, especially if you want to make sense of it with them. Make a meaningful conversation with somebody today. Change your life one moment at a time. That happens. We can do it. All right. Until next time, I'm your host, Chad Everett Brochures. This is the Maturity Project. We're out to do the good work. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.